And there's this sign saying, please use sidewalk. And now is the question. And usually the question that I ask is, why the sign is not working? So that is an invisible social layer. Closely to the transformative technologies, and I've been accumulating experience around human behaviors and technology design, and actually intertwining these two to the degree that we would get and wonderful results for our human flourishing and potential out of that. I'm going to share my screen to show you some interesting insights and slides. So, fundamentally, I will speak about how we can use technology design, and especially in urban spaces where are the most of the people living currently and will be living in the future, and then using these different ideas of intertwining technologies and human behavior to achieve well-being and happiness in cities and of course beyond that. So first of all, I'll show you one example of this sort of urban design. So we can see this is a sidewalk that goes through the green area, and there is this pathway where people are mostly taking their route. So not using really the sidewalk, but they're using this direct path. And there's this sign saying, please use sidewalk. And now is the question. And usually the question that I ask is, why the sign is not working? And sometimes people say, oh, because direct path is faster, or it's because it's too small, and all other aspects. But let me introduce something that people usually forget to think about, or sometimes even don't know that that's possible. So that is an invisible social layer. So everything that is beyond natural creation is human-based creation that has this invisible social dynamic behind it. And in this case, the question would be, how many people have taken the direct route? And I usually ask people to guess, and they usually say a few thousands. So my guess would be 10,000. And then the next question is, how many people were required or actually did the sign that we see, which says, please use sidewalk? And then people most often say 1. And that's it, game over. So we are actually experiencing this social dynamic of one person against 10,000. And if it's not explained and positioned this way, so people not always are familiar that how we instinctively react to behaviors of other people. In this case, the behaviors of other people are visible or are left as a footprints in this direct path. And therefore, the sign has no chance to succeed in this game 1 against 10,000. And then I sometimes ask, okay, what can be done? What can be done to make this game even or win the game? And then people try to propose different ideas. For example, oh, let's build the barriers around this green area so people would be, it would be difficult to enter the grass. That's one of the most common propositions. The other would be, oh, well, maybe let's just build a bigger sign. But the thing is, building a fence or creating a bigger sign won't actually hide the 10,000 steps or the 10,000 people that have walked before. And that's the problem. So one of the simplest way to think about how to deal with this game where we see 1 against 10,000 is actually put the green grass. So what will happen with putting the green grass? We would be immediately erasing the evidence of 10,000 steps or footprints that are there, and therefore we would make the game 1 against 0, and most likely the sign won't be necessary after all. Let's look at other things that we as a human beings have created. So for example, instead of riding horses to make a larger distances, we have created car. But the reminder here is, and I'm going to show you a video where not always the very well thought, engineered innovations, like this case, the car, would produce an outcome that would benefit ourselves. And this is an interesting video that I took from the YouTube, where we can see an experience in a gas station. And if you pay closer attention to what's happening there, there is a little bit of confusion. And if you pay closer attention to the details, what you can see and experience, that after some time you look at the car, and those who are familiar with recently quite famous cars, which are purely electric, and the brand is Tesla, you kind of get the understanding. So the person who previously had this habit of always filling in the gas in a gas station have the hard times now to figure out what to do with this fully electric car. But again, it's just a reminder that our behaviors and our attitudes are not easily transformed while we are creating great technologies. So that's something we need to always keep in mind as we progress with creation of transforming technologies. So therefore, it comes down to the very basics of how we operate, how we make decisions, and pretty much looking into our own human brains. So generally speaking, and referring back to Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner, he in his book and his work together with Agnis Stibe, where he studied how people make decisions, and then they separate or they distinguish 2 parts of the brain. One is, in this case, red, which is instinctive, but the blue part, which is intelligent, rational, and logical, is something us human beings differentiate from other similar species on the planet. Not that similar, but kind of the origin would be of the same kind. So this is what makes our life more intelligent and rational, but not always decisions made by this part are made fast. So therefore, let's refer to this as slow. So a book that Daniel Kahneman wrote is Thinking Fast and Slow. Here's a collection of people walking over the crossroads in different parts of the world, and they have been quite innovative, not only to make people think rationally, but also get some more of a instinctive triggers. But then I would like to also exemplify this design, which looks like a bricks on the street. And that certainly triggers the instinctive part of the brain. So drivers seeing this not always are able to capture the moment with their intellectual brain, because their survival brain, their instinctive brain is saying, oh, it looks like a dangerous bricks and concrete blocks on the street, so slow down. This is one of the examples I usually show to remind us that our brains not always perfectly translate what we experience to the way how we perceive reality. So the blocks or the squares A and B, and the question goes whether those have the same color or not. People usually look at this and say, oh, no, these colors are different. But when we just move one color to another, and we kind of experience a weird reality that actually it is the same. So that's is significant reminder that if we design something for our happiness, if we design something for our well-being, we need to account for this, let's say, slight differences in interpretation, how we experience the world and how we interpret. So therefore, summarizing 3 types of change. So usually when people are primarily motivated by carrots, like positive enforcement or rewards, and then the sticks on the left. So for the sticks, usually you can achieve transactional change. So you can be penalized with a parking ticket, and then you think, oh, it's bad, I'm not gonna do it. But then it kind of fades away, and you might get it again. That's a one type of change, one time. And then transition is a longer period of time. So you can be motivated by a bonus after 3 months of not getting any tickets. But in reality, if we want to achieve transformation, we need to use something that works on our instinctive part of the brain, which is social influence from other people. And therefore, if you look at the corners of the top of the slide, on the left-hand side, these are more artificial to our human being, and to the right, this is more humane. So what's helpful to really achieve and make this transformation successful in designing innovations for cities? This is a framework, which is a collection of science-driven tools. And when it's implemented using this framework, this was a study about how people in a city go to their work. And we looked at those commuting by bikes, real people, real work, and real commutes. And then we exposed that to the whole organizations on the screens, and the organizations got more engaged and got more into the bike ridership to the work. So whichever behavior we take, or whichever aim, they're always self-driven people. They can achieve that. They are self-contained. They will say, no, I'll never do it. And then there's January 1st people who are willing to change, but not always successful, and we just want to help them. And once we start doing it, we open up the awareness for these yellow people to the green, and the social influence start to pull them towards those positive examples. Then the yellow people start to change their identity, and then they join the green circle, which makes the green circle bigger, and the effect on the outcome for the happiness and well-being. As a final example from MIT time, it's the Longfellow Bridge connecting MIT campus in downtown Boston. And imagine the screen that is projecting what was the speed of the bikes and what was the speed of the cars over the last hour. And it's not about preaching something specifically. It's making this dynamic, the social dynamic, more transparent. And for those people who are red, it will be just a blank spot. For those who are green, it will be confirmation how well you do as a bike riders. And for yellow people, it would be a reminder that you can always have a choice. And I would like to conclude with one recent observation. All of our brains, by definition, have knowledge or experience or understanding what the transformation is. And most of the times we are too busy, or we are too occupied with something else, or we are just naturally resisting the change. But the thing is, if we have in our DNA understanding how we can change ourselves and others, the only thing we need to do is find that answer or find that transformational power in ourselves, in our DNA, and activate that transformation gene.